are listening to Just Roll Ones, your first stop for the last argument of kings. Join us as we delve into the epic world of Conquest, where strategy meets miniature warfare. From tactics to lore, we've got it all covered. Get ready to conquer the battlefield with us. Welcome to Just Roll Ones, your Conquest, the last argument of kings podcast. I'm your host, Aaron, and this week, as always, I'm joined with our lovely co-host, James.
Hiya, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Looking forward to this. Yeah, it's been a while. We've both been really busy, I think, with life. Though actually, this isn't the longest gap we've had. And I think in podcasting world, we're doing pretty well. We're a quarter of a century.
Yeah,
like you just said.
Yeah.
So I guess just some things at the start here. Today, we're going to be looking at firstly, what are the worst units in each faction, the objectively true worst correct units, and also how we would improve them. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that main segment. But today, I think we'll start off with a few notices, like you'd have at a meeting. Please remember, we've now got a affiliate code with Parabellum. So if you're buying anything from the official web store, please use our code JRO for 10% off your purchase. And also, now, if you're in the UK, because, we can't order things from Greece without getting taxed. So if you are in the UK, there'll be a link down below in the description to go and purchase from Wayland Games. I don't believe you actually get a discount. I'm sorry, but we get some money, and that'd be really nice. James could afford furniture. I could afford to, I could afford to get a new logo done for the podcast. So any of that would be brilliant. So, yeah, great. So, how have you played any Conquest recently, James?
The last game I had, what was it? A couple of weeks ago now, I think I proxied and tried out Euroni.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, which is the first time I've actually played as them. Tested against them a lot, but never actually played as them. And yeah, they're fun. They're definitely very, very fun.
I think so.
There's a lot more thinking in it than I thought, and you generally want. I was surprised how much I was actually trying to plan in linking the ideal cards with the regiments.
Yeah,
I kind of didn't think I would be too fussed by it, but actually, I was actually more. I wanted those bonuses more than I thought I would.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had quite a good time with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the units are balanced around getting off their correct kind of trigger. So it's nice to have the flexibility of activating whatever order you want, but yeah, there's still a penalty to that. You still want to be activating your car units with the car card, for instance. I've seen quite a lot of talk on that actually, because I think there was a lot of talk of the Euroni being a bit more of a straightforward faction to play. A little bit of an easier faction for new players to pick up, but actually, I think they're really, pretty tricksy to play. I really like them too.
Yeah, you can get some really good. They're ones which have a very low floor. Like they are going to be a very easy faction to get into.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need that many models. I mean, when I put the army on the table and the guy said, "Where's the rest of it?" I said, "Oh, this is all it." And he hadn't realised that Euroni was an all brute faction, and I only had like 20, I only had like 20 stands.
Brilliant.
And he was like, "Oh, right, fair." So yeah, I think it's going to be quite a beginner friendly army in that you don't need that many models, all of that. But also like the ability of just being able to draw the card and activate anything is definitely very beginning. But it's definitely one of those factions where it's got quite a high ceiling, so you can really kind of like make some horrible combos.
Definitely, yeah. I think like matching your characters in units, mixing them up is really great. I think that modular unit's really fun. I don't think you're going to get to see. You're not going to see like really crazy units with like all sorts of different Euroni, but I think there's definitely a few different mixtures you can do within the unit itself that we'll see. I'm really excited for them. I am wondering if it like UKGE, which is a nice segment, is we're going to see like 50% of the field be Evody at that point. But yeah, I guess before I've sent off the segue too soon. Before we talk about UKGE in any more detail, I just want to say I went to a tournament earlier this month up in Newcastle. Yeah, up in Newcastle. So it was run by Darryl from. I'm terrible, so I can never remember the name of the club that he's a part of. It's something North something Wargaming. But yeah, it was a fantastic event. I posted up the trophies in the UK Discord and on the main Discord, and yeah, it was a really fantastic event, really fantastic day. I ended up coming third.
I was going to say you walked away with one, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I ended up coming third, and I have a lovely trophy, which I've actually left downstairs. I've been winding my wife up by leaving it in the living room. It's on our nice little bookshelves with everything else. So that's downstairs now. But yeah, it was a really fantastic event. I lost round one to Woodroon. I'm now super anti-slinger. The too good. We should nerf slingers. But yeah, I had 3 fantastic games. Though in fantastic wargaming style, my first game was against Alex, who I've played a few times before. My second game was against, I believe his name is Dan, who I've also played before at London GT. And my third game was also against someone I've met before, was a gentleman called Russ, but I haven't seen him since the first London GT. So that was different. But yeah, I travelled up to Newcastle to play 2 people I've played before. But it was, yeah, fantastic day. Really nice pizza place around the corner. Very reasonably priced. Love Newcastle. Great place. So, yeah, if anyone's in the area, I drove up in the morning. Next time they put an event on, I think, yeah, honestly, we'd really consider going up and having a go. Some people came from from Coventry to play. So, yeah, really fantastic. It was my first outing with Nords. And Nords are very good. They're very good.
How many raiders did you take?
I had a lot. I think I had like 19 stands or something.
Nice.
I had 5 units of raiders, and one of them was bigger. So, yeah, I'm toying with the idea of taking that list still to UKGE, which is now our fantastic segue. So, James, do you want to tell our wonderful listeners about the UK Games Expo?
Yeah, well, UK Games Expo, UKGE, we are back for a 2-day tournament, I believe. 2,000 points, open to 48 players. So this is so far the largest, potentially the largest tournament we would have run in the UK. It's over the Friday and Saturday. The dates are, let me just double check. It's the 30th. But so the convention itself is the 30th of May to the 1st of June, and the tournament is on the 30th of May and the 31st. So that's the Friday and the Saturday.
Yep.
But yeah, last year we did 4 rounds in a day, and it worked, but it was quite tiring. And it was an awesome event. I hosted it last year, but I think Yanis or Stamos or one of the guys from Power Bellum are going to be hosting it this year, so we all may get a chance to play. Yeah, it was a huge success last year. Everyone had a really fantastic time, and yeah, really excited that it is going to be on again this year as well. It is, the UK Games Expo isn't just a tournament scene. Like, the main thing about it is the whole convention itself, the whole expo side. So it's over about 3 different halls, and it's just jam packed with anything to do like tabletop gaming. So like RPGs, board games, miniature games, whatever. It's absolutely fantastic. So if you are looking at coming up for it, don't just look at coming up for the tournament. Like, look and coming up for the whole weekend. Loads of people who attended the tournament, they took part, and they always had that last day. They always had a day to look around properly. And Power Bellum will be there with not just in the tournament, but we'll have our own booth as well. So if you have any friends or whatever that are interested in the game, and they're going to be at the UK Expo, then yep, definitely tell them, make them aware, because we'll be running demo games. We'll have loads of beautiful minis there, up and coming, well, probably like some more up and coming minis due. I can imagine Uroni is probably going to have a bit of a presence there.
Oh, almost certainly. Almost
Yeah.
certainly.
And you can also buy stuff there as well. So I think, as it stands, we're probably going to be paired with the fantastic guys from Narthex again.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to that. So yeah, tournament Friday and Saturday, 30th and 31st of May. Yeah, really excited. Really excited for it. Should be a good one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it again this year. It was a fantastic year last year.
Yeah.
It was a really good time. Everyone had a great time at the event. Obviously, this year, with me and James both playing, third place is still up for grabs. You know, maybe one of the Joshing around and Aya guys could take that. That'd be nice, is it? So,
Rob, I was going to say Rob normally comes in third, so.
That's true. That's true. Though, of course, this year I'm going to be Rob because I'm playing Nords. Maybe.
Oh, you are, aren't you? Yeah.
And
So, shit, Josh. Fuck.
No, I mean I think, yeah, it was Josh, and Rob, but I think we do know their names. We promise.
Yeah, we do. We actually get on with them really well.
Yeah. Well, 2 out of 3 of them we do. Is it? I'll let them decide which one is the third.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I mean, you came second last year, so you know.
I did, and this year
I got third place. Yeah. So, yeah, you know that first place is the only one left to get, mate.
And exactly, you know, and if I win, I mean that makes chaos a possibility. I think so. Yeah. You know, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I've got another. In fact, actually, while we're doing event shout-outs, I'm not sure if there are still tickets available, but there's an event going on in Derby at Board and Sword Wargaming at the first weekend in May. So again, I've not been to an event there in a while. I went a couple of years ago, but it was a really great event, really nice group of people down there. I believe it was actually my first ever Conquest event that I went to. Nice. It was at Board and Sword Wargaming. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to going down for that as well. So again, if you're in the area, or even if you're not, and you fancy a trip to Derby, yeah, I definitely look into it. I'll try and remember to put a link down in the show notes below the video.
Yeah, sounds cool. That sounds awesome. Yeah. There's also, again, like if you're interested in events, make sure you're part of the UK Discord channel because we have a part of it there for like all the upcoming events coming up. And I know there's some coming up in Cornwall that will be coming up soon as well. So yeah, we definitely got quite a few tournaments happening as well. I'm in the middle of moving at the moment, but I do want to try and get one organised down in Southampton, like maybe April, May time. So yeah,
perfect. Yeah. So I was talking through some people over there, and I've been really happy with the tournament scene in the UK this year. How much it's grown since last year. You know, we're still not necessarily as big as maybe some of the other bigger European countries at the moment, but yeah, I think it's definitely going in the right direction. It's been fantastic. And, you know, watch this space. There's been some talk of a UK team tournament, which I genuinely would be over the moon about because I love a team tournament. And James will have to do a team just roll ones.
I was gonna say I'd be torn because I'd either be team just roll ones or team sluggers.
No, sluggers can make their own team. We get our own. We're gonna have a just roll ones team. That's it.
I feel like we can both be joshing around. Yeah,
that's it. Or we can both be on opposite teams, and I'll just heckle you across the hall.
You never know. You might be heckling me across the same table.
Yeah, that's it. You're shit. Nice slingers.
Oh mate, it might be your only.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, maybe it may be Dwagon.
Maybe Dwagon. It could be anything at this point.
New update.
You're almost as bad as me.
I am excited. Yeah, I am kind of looking at a Dwagam army again.
Brilliant. Do you want to buy some Dwagam? I've got some Dwagam for sale. Do you want to buy some Firefords? Got some Firefords going? got some ballistae, that were built. You had to build them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, fantastic. So yeah, I guess going to the next. So unless do you have any other news for things coming up?
No, I don't think so. We talked about UKGE. That's the main that's the next big one.
Perfect.
Like, open 48 players, so should be plenty of tickets available.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic. If we sold out, that would be
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, that'd be so good. It would be the biggest event we've had in the UK. I think it'd be really exciting to have.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, it's all to play for. We've got some good players coming through, and yeah, that'd be great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think I can't think of any major update. There's no like major happy hour due or anything. So yeah.
Nope. No, yeah, fantastic. So before we go to the next segment, just remember if you're enjoying our rambling so far, please like and subscribe to the video.
Yes.
And we'll go on to our new section, which is going to be a new recurring section, which is Law with James. So James, would you like to introduce your section? Just give a bit of an explanation about what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm still trying to decide on a title for it properly, like under Law with James, but.
Law with James.
Oh, are you okay?
Yeah, sorry. I was singing a jingle.
Yeah, so Conquest is a game where it's really based on like history, like real world history and mythology, and it comes through like both really clearly, but with its own spin as well. And I thought what might be interesting is just looking just taking like a regiment or a character per session, and basically just basically describing briefly the history, so or the like historical or the mythological inspiration behind that regiment. And I've been trying to think of maybe doing it as a separate podcast, but I thought actually it might just be a nice little segment in our main podcasts we do anyway. I thought a nice one to kick off with are the legionaries from the Old Dominion. These are ones that are quite close to my heart as a ancient historian and Roman reenactor myself. I don't reenact the undead guys, unfortunately, but yeah, these guys are pretty close to me, and I can talk about them, which is good because the notebook that I made notes of all the other regiments is in the other place. I'm kind of choosing these guys because I know I can talk about them from memory. So yeah, so we've got the legionaries. So Old Dominion itself is kind of like based on like the Byzantine Empire, kind of, or like the Roman Byzantine Eastern Empire, late antiquity, early medieval period or so. But there's a lot of kind of references in the regiment and in some of the upgrades that kind of harken back to like classical period. So you've got like late antiquity, and then you've got like the classical period where you really got like it's in that period that Rome in its main power is situated. So imperial Rome under the empire, and one of the most common, one of the most famous units or type of soldier in the ancient world is the Roman legionary. This guy was really part of what's considered like the first professional army in history. It's not quite, but it's very close. It's like one of the first professional armies. So legionaries, it comes from the word legio, and legio is basically legion, and so a legionary is like part of that legion. Their actual like ancient historical name was more like a military or militare. Instead of saying like a legionary, you would say like militare, militarum legio secunda augusta or something like that. So a military person of legio secunda augusta, which is the legion. And these guys are like the backbone of the Roman army, basically. In the model itself, so in the Conquest model, they've got this kind of like big, kind of oval-shaped, like squarish oval-shaped shield, and they've got a spear as the main thing. For the weapons of the Roman, like for the height of the Roman power, for the Roman Empire, the sword was mostly was the main weapon, the gladius. This isn't really depicted on the legionaries, but I kind of see this as quite a nice little spin, because one of the other weapons that the legionaries had in the Roman period was the pilum, and this pilum is kind of like a javelin. It would be thrown just before the enemy engages the legionaries, or vice versa. If they're kind of like charging towards the enemy, they would throw this pilum, this javelin, just before contact, and it's a way of basically disrupting the enemy. If you get this going through a shield, you basically lost your shield, and it may even impale you on the other side of it. But you could also use this pilum as a spear as well, and we see this in some depictions. It's not commonly depicted, but there's a few sources of evidence that actually show the legions using the pilum like a spear and almost like a phalanx as well. So when the Old Dominion legionaries came out originally, they did have the special rule phalanx, which I thought was really, really cool, and it's a bit of a shame that that disappeared. But that spear they have on the model, to me, is just a nice shout back to the pilum in the Roman army. And also they've got one of the officers as well called the Optio, and the Optio in game gives the legionaries Vanguard 4, which is exactly what an Optio was kind of meant to do in real history as well. So the Optio was a Roman officer. It was kind of seen as like the second in command of like a century, so of like one of the main small units in the legion. A century would be commanded by a centurion, and then the officer underneath the centurion was an Optio. And the Optio had probably the safest job in the army. He would basically be standing of the century, and he'd basically have a stick, and he would just be pushing people forward. He'd also be kind of, this stick would allow him to tap different people and get them to turn direction if needed. But one of the things was to stand behind and make sure that everyone's in line with each other, and also no one's kind of slowing down or starting to walk backwards away from the enemy. He's there to make sure that everyone is putting on that brave face, basically. So he was there to make sure that the legion, if they're going forward, if they're meant to get from A to B, they're going to get to B. And the Optio in game is really that, designed to do that as well by giving them Vanguard. So yeah, the legionaries of the Old Dominion, although the Old Dominion is kind of mostly this Byzantine style one, and the idea of legionaries starts disappearing really by kind of late antiquity, certainly by like the early medieval period or so. The Old Dominion legionaries are a really nice shout back to the legionaries at the height of the empire, the height of the Roman Empire itself.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I look forward to some of these. That was great.
Yeah. So
I never knew that about the Optio. I would like to be the stick man. That would be great. That's the role I think I should play if we're ever in a Roman army.
It's in the reenactment scene. It's a really fun role to play, and I've done it a few times before. Because you're the person, if the reenactors, when they're doing all their formations and marching and all that, if anyone goes wrong, you are allowed to hit them.
Brilliant.
You generally hit them on the shield, but if they're wearing like segmented armor, because the armor can take the impact, you actually are allowed to just like whack them properly.
No. Brilliant. See, I do that, not the hitting, but I point at things a lot with a meter ruler at work, but I'm not allowed to hit people. Yeah, that's frowned upon. So yeah, that sounds perfect.
Yeah.
If I ever get sent back in time to be a Roman, that's the role I want. But
you definitely want it. Yeah, you definitely. The only problem about an Optio is if the Centurion dies, you become the new, or if he retires or whatever, you generally tend to become the new Centurion, which sounds good.
Yeah,
but
that sounds like a bonus here, James. I'm getting promoted. It's good.
Yeah. This is like the promotion you don't want, because typically the Centurion was designed to always be in the front row.
Yeah, I mean, could the Centurion afford a house? Would a Centurion be able to afford a house in Rome, do you think?
Oh yeah, they were on like 2.5
Perfect.
times.
This sounds brilliant, I bet their commute to work isn't 2 hours. This sounds great. I'm all in on the Centurion life.
It's like one of those. It's like one of those roles where peacetime, it's like the easiest job in the world. But if you've ever got to be in a battle or so, you are expected to basically be in the front row. And in some cases, if there is like meant to be a really dire retreat, it may be that actually the general tells all the Centurions to make the last stand while the rest of the army gets away.
I mean, that's nice. That's how it should be. Well done, Romans. Like that is probably the best way to do it. I mean, I'm all on board for this.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. So,
have you seen those memes that go around? My wife showed me one because she actually and didn't get it. It's it's like how she wants to die, whatever. And it's like I want to die. It's quietly for my loved ones. And it's how men want to die, and it's like making an impossible last stand as your friends, retreat back. And my wife didn't get it, and I was like, 100% true. Like that's it.
No, absolutely is. Yeah. Have you played Space Marine 2 yet?
I've seen the exact same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the last stand kind of thing.
Yeah. Honestly, though, do you not
100% every guy's dream?
Do you not find that? Do you not find that scene makes you really emotional?
Oh, it does. Yeah, the first time it, especially. Yeah. Not just watching it, but once you actually play it in the game.
Yeah,
it's so good.
So basically, I could be a Centurion. I'd go for that. That's why not.
Yeah.
And as we all know, Rome were famous for not having very many wars. So, I think I'll be fine.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So that's yeah. So I just thought we could chuck in a little bit of historical education into it as well, something a bit different.
Yeah.
And
I think it adds so much to the lore of the game as well, because it is all based around kind of historical settings. So it makes things. It kind of brings things down to earth, makes them a bit more realistic.
Yeah,
and then you've got the spires, but whatever.
Well, the spies have still got their own intrigue one in themselves anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So although they're weird space elves, they still got that kind of hierarchical structure, and they've almost been described as weird space elf Carthaginians.
Okay.
Yeah,
James, I'm feeling right now that this should be the next Law with James segment. I want to know the real world parallels between the spires and humanity and history.
I could do that.
Yes,
I wanted to do, because the parallel, the city states. I mean, obviously, Parabellum is a Greek company, but the city states, there's so much cool stuff with the city states that's Easter eggs.
Okay.
So the Minotaur Haspists.
Yeah.
They did exist, just not in Minotaur form.
Yeah.
There's so much the Agema, the companion cavalry, all of that. That's kind of what gave me the idea, and I started looking into it. And the city states is just an army of Easter eggs.
Perfect. Well, we will.
So I think the next one I really want to do a city states one. I'll definitely do I'll definitely do a spires. Yeah.
No, that sounds great. We'll look forward to it. And cool. I love having a segment that I don't have to prepare for. So it's fantastic.
I know, but in fairness, you do a whole PowerPoint stuff. So
talking about PowerPoints, we can go on to our main topic. So today we are going to be looking at the worst units in each faction and how we would improve them. So we'll start off. So how this has worked, James and I have picked. We've done half the factions each. James hasn't seen the ones I've picked, and so we will see how much we disagree on these choices.
Oh yeah, I haven't, have I? No.
I can't remember if I changed one of them, but I meant to. But we'll see. We'll go with it.
I'm gonna see if I can guess what you put before they come up.
Oh, see, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I'm interested to see what you've done.
It's like nothing happened. So, so we will see how much we agree with each of these different choices.
Yeah,
I'd meant to change the Nords one, but I forgot. So we'll see. But the rules we came up with between us for how we will try and fix them were we cannot just say make them cheaper.
No.
And also, right, I'm not saying this is a rule, but I think we should try not to just say make them lighter, because I feel like that is always the solution. But when I was going through a lot of these, even though these are the worst units I thought in the faction, they're not super far off. Like, it's not like there's many units, I think, that are so just impossible to... So, they're so off base that we can't fix them.
No, and some of them aren't necessarily bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they're bad compared to the really good stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that was a big one when I was looking through too.
Yeah.
So, we'll start off with one that James chose. Though actually, since the update, we both said this. It's pretty hard to pick for 100 Kingdoms nowadays.
I struggled with this one. Yeah, I struggled with this.
Most things are pretty good, I think, across the board.
Particularly
but James, yeah. Before the update, I think there were some choices we made, but James ended up going for the Imperial Ranger Corps.
Yeah, I just
want to quickly.
Yeah, these guys don't get a lot of table time, don't get a lot of attention, and it's a shame because the models are awesome. Like I really like the models, and I really like their kind of lore and what they're meant to do. Like they just shout like Gondorian, Athenian Rangers and Faramir to me.
Yeah, they've got.
Yeah,
they've got all the good rules. Sorry, you carry on. You go through them. So, do you want to run through their profile?
Yeah. So they're an infantry light. Their march is 6. They got volley 3, clash 1, which is fine because they're not. They're meant to be expert ranged. 4 attacks, 4 wounds, 2 resolve, 1 defense, and 1 evasion. They've got the barrage 3 of a range of 16 inches. They've got Vanguard 3 as well. They've got fluid formation, and they've got kind of a new one, which is advanced scout training. So if they become a veteran unit, then they count as obscured against enemy volley actions. So,
good.
Yeah, it's nothing wrong with these guys as such, and this to me is an example of a unit that isn't bad, but is just being outcompeted by the other options of ranged, and you've got a lot of ranged options in 100 Kingdoms. You've got crossbowmen, you've got longbowmen, the hunter cadre, and these guys.
Yeah,
and they're just missing that thing, that kind of skip, that thing that will make them different, a bit more unique.
Yeah.
The option I was trying to think like, okay, what are they meant to be? They're kind of meant to be like these expert scouts. They run up ahead of a force, scout out where the enemy is, scout out the terrain, the layout, and they're meant to be very flexible in that sense, very fluid. So giving them fluid formation and Vanguard 3 makes complete sense. They're all about speed. They're not going to be heavily armored or anything, and their bows are meant to be practical in different situations. So they're not going to have some heavy longbow, basically. They want to be able to have a bow that's almost like a very much like a recurve style bow in that you can loose off arrows very quickly.
Mhm.
And also to me, they're also going to be kind of like potential good ambushers as well. So they're
Mhm.
ones that are scouting out, they're searching for the enemy. Once they found them, they're waiting for their main force to catch up with them. But they also want to start kind of harassing supply lines, scouts of the enemy's own scouts, that kind of stuff. So I thought
Mhm.
also giving them opportunist.
Yeah. Okay.
So they can get into that undergrowth, they can get into those forests. Fluid formation kind of lets them like angle wherever they want, and then potentially next turn or in that turn they can shoot.
Yeah. No,
You
that
know,
makes.
they're
Yeah.
so good ambushers.
Mhm.
I was thinking as well of making them barrage 4,
Yeah.
but I think barrage 3 is probably okay.
Mhm.
I don't even think they need AP or anything. Um,
No, because so I think the AP. I mean, AP you can get with mercenary crossbowmen
yeah,
at a little bit less of a cost. I think that opportunist is a really cool idea. I think I would probably say Barrage Four would set them apart because you've got at the moment. I think the problem is you have longbowmen who can just shoot from further away,
yeah.
and they have the same number of shots. Are longbowmen volley 2 or 3? They might be a slightly lower volley,
I think they're
but
volley 2.
yeah.
Longbowman. Yeah, volley 2. Yeah,
But I think here every unit, every range unit in the Hundred Kingdoms is Barrage 3 at the
yeah,
moment. And I think giving one a little bit of a boost with a few more shots, I think could really. So Opportunist and Barrage 4, I think, would really set these guys apart. Um, they're a light unit, which is good. They can, I don't picture you taking these in larger units. So, they probably don't score. But fluid formation is great. Advanced scout training is great. Vanguard is great. I'd probably put that Vanguard up to a little bit higher than 3. I don't know. That threw me a little bit, just because it's a bit lower than I was expecting. But yeah, I
yeah,
think opportunist would be a really cool idea, and I love rules like that because it rewards like good play.
yeah.
Like it rewards you putting them where they need to be for the best outcome. So yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna go with like I said, I was thinking about giving them Barrage 4 as well, and I couldn't tell if that was going to make them like a bit too much or anything. But no, actually, based on what you said, yeah, I'm gonna revert back to that. So I
Mhm.
would give them Opportunist and Barrage 4.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think that with that, maybe the points go up a little bit. I think that's fine. That can happen. But because I think the problem with Imperial Ranger Corps isn't necessarily like we said that they're too expensive. Even I mean, they're a fine unit. They're just being outcompeted in the same slot by other units. So longbowmen can shoot from further away. Mercenary crossbowmen are cheaper and have
yeah,
armor piercing. So you're separating them by basically giving them more shots, which is good. And I
yeah.
don't think it would be too oppressive. Like so, because they're only barrage range 16, it's not like they're shooting you from like 22 inches away.
No, and
Safely.
they're still very they're still going to fall over if they come up against anything. So if they're getting
Mm.
shot at, they're still only like defense 1, evasion 1. In that sense, they're like a hunting pack. They're like the
Mm.
hunting pack of the 100k,
Yeah,
and they've only
exactly.
four wounds as well. So they're not if you run them up, they're not gonna stick around that long against
Yeah,
any return shooting or light charges or anything else. Yeah.
yeah. No, I think that's a really good suggestion.
Hmm,
Uh,
awesome.
so the next unit is the Spires.
Hmm.
What unit, James, do you think I would have picked for Spires?
Oh, hmm. I think you may have picked. I'm thinking maybe the desolation drones.
So no, though I would say they maybe are in contention. I don't. I don't strongly dislike them because you can put them in the Biomancer Warband and he can just sit in them.
Okay.
They to me the Desolation Drones have a role in that if you want a unit that will lower the defense of another unit, they're all right. And also, I believe they can also are they mainstay for the Biomancer? But they're in the Biomancer Warband.
I think they are.
Yeah,
they are.
which is good. So mainstay for they're fine, right? Okay. If I see a Biomancer in a unit of Desolation Drones, I'm not scared, but they're all right. The worst unit, again, not great. There are definitely improvements that can be made to the Siegebreaker. My opponent, at my third round opponent at the Newcastle event, found that if you charge a Siegebreaker into a unit of Raiders, they just won't die. Because a Siegebreaker is not good at that. So, but again, the Siegebreaker will kill a big monster that goes into it. You know what won't do that? Is the Abomination.
That was going to be my next. Yeah, that was going to be my next.
So, the Abomination is movement 10. It's a great movement stat. It's Clash 2, which is pretty low, but the unit has the mod has Flurry. So Clash 2 Flurry, fine stats. It only has 10 attacks, 10 wounds, 4 resolve, 3 defense, and evasion 0. This is back in the day when monsters didn't all have evasion 2.
Happy day, the good old days.
Yeah, exactly. We love this. It has Cleave 1, which I think is great. It has Impact 5. No brutal, but 5 impacts is nice on an objective or something. And Terrifying 1 and Unstoppable. And so you might be thinking, wow, that's not a bad profile. It's 150 points. Right? The problem is that it is not only a restricted choice in limited warbands, but it is also a heavy. And you may have thought when I was reading through that, wow, that sounds like a really good medium monster. And I think you would be correct. Now, I know I'm breaking the rule very quickly on decreasing size, but I honestly think that if the Abomination was a medium, it would be great.
See, the Abomination is that profile has not changed.
Nope.
Since it came out, and I like the Abomination because it has got like a nostalgic shout to simpler times.
Yeah.
In the game, so when the game came out, first came out, the Abomination was that model that drew people to it. It was that and the Household Knights.
I'm going to go get mine really quickly.
And yeah, it was it was at a time when monsters were not meant to be as common as they are now.
Nope.
And they were always going to be heavy. Yeah. Because heavy was also to represent the rarity of these units as you see them on the battlefield.
Yes, right.
And yeah, I completely see why you've chosen the Abomination. Because it hasn't kept up. To me, it hasn't kept up with how the game has changed.
No.
Because the Abomination, I remember when I played against it, like in the early days of the game, the Abomination was terrifying. Like, no pun intended. It was.
Sorry to say, do you remember the list? And it was the High Clone Executor.
Yeah.
And like 3 Abominations, and it was terrifying.
Oh because... yeah. Dave, who's famous, he's mostly famous for his drone wall, but he should also be famous because he would often run 4 of these guys.
Yeah.
And they've always been about 150 points.
Yeah.
And that was just terrible. Like when you got 4 of these guys on the field, and this was back in the day where when monsters were not as prevalent as they were. I would maybe have 1 or 2 apexes, and suddenly 4 of these would appear, and they would just kind of start running amok.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't evolved with how monsters are designed to be in the game now.
No.
I'm not a fan of monsters, really, of any monster being a medium, but I kind of agree with you in that this could be an exception.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a world where like there's a quattle,
Yeah,
which I mean, I think so. The problem I think here is I agree with you. I really love the nostalgic feel of this model, and so I don't want to like completely uproot it and change it because I really like this profile. It's I can remember my first game of Conquest, and I think just changing it to a medium would instantly make it an awful lot more playable, whilst not making it like obnoxious or overpowered. So like I
yeah,
think at the moment, like when I'm playing Spires, I want to play Incarnate Sentinels, and I want them to be my heavy option. When the Desolation Beast comes out, I probably want to play 2 Desolation Beasts. I don't know how good they're going to be. I just feel like I'm going to really love that. And the survivability of this model is not huge, and the output isn't huge, but it's good enough that I think as a medium, you would consider this. I could easily see 2 of these being played in a list at medium.
yeah,
Which I think for Spires, I think would be a really fun thing to see, especially now they've got the artisan resin model
yeah,
for
yeah,
it. And I just, I think it just opens up under Spires a little bit more because I think that's probably the most struggling faction at the moment within Spires.
the Underspires.
So you've got the Biomancer with general obnoxious things like Lean and Avatara and stuff like that, or you go with the Avatara, don't you? The Directorate. And I think Underspires, which is my favourite. I love the Underspires with the healing drones and everything, the Strix.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a really quick fix that would just make it so much more fun to play. Yeah.
Would you give it any more wounds or anything like that?
At a medium, no. I honestly think the exact same profile to medium is brilliant. What I don't want is just to make. I don't want to just make another monster that's really hard to kill and no one wants to play against. It's I'm trying to think. I mean, there aren't really very many. Like if you look at heavy monsters now, and I know that the points are completely different, so it's actually maybe a bad comparison. But when you're looking at like heavy monsters nowadays, you're thinking about the Ironclad Drake, the Talos, the Rakshasa, kind of units like that. And the Abomination is not that level anymore. It's not as strong as them, and that's okay. But I think as a medium, it would be really great to see.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, no, I think that's a good suggestion to it. Making it a medium.
And I promise, I don't promise.
I'm trying to think what change I would do to the profile, like to the stats or the special rules, and I can't think of anything. Like it's solid in its own right.
And I think anything you change is going to change the spirit of the model.
Yeah.
Whereas I think being a medium, it still keeps in the exact same role, just a turn earlier, and also not competing for that heavy slot.
No, exactly, and I think for me, like the Abomination is actually the kind of profile that the majority of monsters should have.
Mm-hmm. I think, I mean, I think, look, in a different world, it's like pre Mark 1 Conquest, this was fine, and like the exact saying, like this is what a monster was.
Yeah,
I just think now the game's moved to a point where this is no longer a heavy.
No.
And in order to make it a heavy, it would have to be able to compete with like Incarnate Sentinels, and you either then have to make it a lot killier or a lot harder to kill. And I think either of those options kind of changes what it is. So in the spirit, I just think the spirit of this model is a medium monster, and that's it.
No, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah, good choice.
The next choice is for Dwegum.
With the
and
now this is interesting because I don't know what you chosen for. I don't know what you put as my Dwegum option.
I picked the correct choice, which is not wardens. Because whilst I agree, wardens aren't the best unit, they are not dragon slayers. So
see, this is a problem. This is the issue I got though. It's not that dragon slayers are bad. It's that it's not a problem with the dragon slayers. It's a problem with monsters having like. It's a problem that the game doesn't allow them to do what they're designed to do.
Exactly.
And it's yeah, and it's not that they need any like particular buffs themselves. It's just almost their main targets need a debuff, and I think we're in agreement about like monsters and evasion.
Yeah. Well, so do you want to run? Do you want to run over the stats of these and then maybe go over some improvements? I'm gonna be back in 2 seconds. I just need to quickly run downstairs.
Sure.
So you go, James.
Okay, so so we've got the Dragon Slayers, and they are an infantry heavy. So they're March 5. They haven't got any volley because they definitely don't need it. They've got a Clash of 4, 5 attacks, 6 wounds, Resolve of 4, Defense 3, Evasion 0. Their special rules are Cleave 3, so they're like one of the hardest hitters in the game currently. Fiend Hunter. So they want to be there. Their preferred targets are those monsters and those brutes, and they're hardened 2 as well. So they haven't necessarily got a high defense, but all but the deadliest cleave isn't going to have any effect on these guys. So most of the time they're going to be defense 3. They don't have any kind of particular bonuses or anything, or like optional upgrades to have. And they're 220 points, which I think we talked about them in the last episode. Currently, they are tied for the most expensive infantry unit in the game. The other one are the Chosen of Death for the Wardroom. And again, it's not that these guys are bad. It's not that there's anything wrong with their profile, with their stats. It's that what they want to do, they can't do. These guys are designed, they're called Dragon Slayers. Their job is to slay the big monsters. They wear the armor that's been kind of like handed down. The armor and the weapons have been handed down for eons. That were like the original armor and the weapons that slew the dragons. They want to get up to those big bad monsters and brutes and just absolutely destroy them. And they used to be able to do that, but since a lot of the monsters and a fair few brutes as well have been getting evasion, that Cleave 3 just, for all intents and purposes, they might as well just have Cleave 1 against normal infantry. Yeah, great, but they don't have a huge number of attacks. The Fiend Hunter is wasted against infantry and cavalry. They want to be hitting those monsters, those big scary things. And at the moment, they can get those reliable hits, but they're not having the impact that they want. Again, I try to have a think with these guys in what I would change, and one of the ideas that I had was against monsters. They either, the special rule is they just ignore the evasion of monsters, or the evasion gets reduced down to a maximum of 1 or something. So if you've got your Drake that has evasion 2, that now becomes evasion 1. So you've still got some kind of save, but the reality is that Drake is going to get hurt by these guys. And it then really like calls upon like the kind of positioning in the game and everything, because if somebody is bringing, if you know that somebody is bringing these on the board and you've got a few monsters, you know that you're not going to want the monsters to fight these guys, so they are already imposing, basically, maybe even before the game has started. And yeah, if these guys are getting involved with your monsters, if they've managed to like engage and clash your monster, you know that something hasn't worked or you've made a very big mistake. So I would add almost like a new special rule, completely new special rule to these guys that allows them to either ignore the evasion of the monster or the evasion gets reduced to a maximum of 1. I don't think I'd change anything. I don't think I'd change anything to their profile. I think I may give them fearless as well. Like again, dragon slayers, the guys who are these are the cream of the crop. You know, these guys are the best warriors that the Dweghom holds can throw out. They're not going to back down from anything, and them having fearless, I think, or maybe even bravery, would definitely make sense. So yeah, either fearless or bravery on them, and give them that unique rule that allows them to basically just all but ignore the evasion of monsters. So yeah, they're
yeah.
like I said, to me, no problem with them. It's more an issue of how the game of how like kind of the game is now protecting monsters against them is more the issue.
I don't know how these guys have ever slain a dragon. Because every dragon has at least evasion 2.
Yeah.
So no, I completely agree. I think if they had a special rule where they, even if it was just as like they ignored the evasion on monsters, fine. That's it's meant to be their thing, and I completely agree. If these are 220 points for a minimum unit of dragon slayers, they should be able to kill a monster. If they, their movement 5. If the movement 5 dragon slayers charge your monster and kill it, I think you're right. You've either done something wrong, or you're probably losing. You sacrifice the monster, of course. Like that's also possible. I also think. I mean, across the board, I'm looking here. I'm sure you said, they're still paying 20 points for a standard bearer. I think we just get rid of that. Everywhere soon. Because these guys are 240 points.
220.
Well, yes, but with a standard bearer.
Oh, sorry, with the standard bearer,
to be able to
20 points, yeah.
I would make it. Well, I'd make the standard bearer free too, but I think that's just something across the board, which is happening, isn't it?
Yes, I think that is becoming like a general thing. Is that standard bearers are going to start becoming free? But yeah, again, again, I guess in a way, like these guys, a bit like the Abomination. They kind of feel that they've just gotten left behind.
Yeah. When Dragon Slayers were great, when they were 8 wounds a stand, that was brilliant. I love that.
I think that was when Leo and the developers decided actually we need to do stuff by stands.
Yeah.
Could not balance these guys. They were either terrible on 1 wound each.
Yeah.
But they were then way too overpowered and crazy at 2 wounds each.
I personally think they were fair and balanced, is it?
That's because Is that also when you played Dweghom?
Yeah, it was brilliant. They had, and since since 2nd edition, they've sat in my cupboard. Bless them. But yeah, I think that I completely agree. I honestly think if these guys just ignored evasion, part of the other problem, and this isn't something we can fix with every single unit, obviously, but just that they are heavy, and at the moment, just the way the game runs. Now, I'm not saying we make them a medium, but don't worry. But just because of how the game is at the moment, like if a heavy doesn't have flank, you're probably only taking one of them in a lot of lists, and so they're kind of competing for that spot. Though that's not a Dweghom problem. That is a heavy problem. Across the board. So we can't fix everything today.
Yeah, I guess the example is, so these guys are designed. Again, they're wearing the armor and they've got the weapons that are specifically designed to kill dragons.
Mhm.
The one thing that they can't kill is a baby dragon or a drake,
Exactly.
which is
Yeah.
a kind of like malformed imitation of a dragon, and they struggle to kill it.
Yeah, it's
To me, that doesn't make sense.
no. I think we really need these guys to be doing an awful lot more damage to monsters specifically.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, 100%.
Also, just for the record, Parabellum should stop giving every single monster evasion 2. But that's neither here nor there. They currently have that, so that's fine. So yeah, but I think you. I mean, I didn't listen to all of it, but I'm sure you did a great job going through all
Yeah,
of that.
I just carried on ranting until you came back. So
Brilliant. Yeah, could have said anything. I'm sorry for joshing around in the air for what he said about you guys. I wasn't here. It wasn't. So
yeah, you have to meet Josh in the car park for a punch up at 5 o'clock, mate.
I see. There's 2 Joshes though.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's just you. I got it over my head, but it's just you.
So the next one is Nords. Did I change this? What do you think the worst unit in Nords is, James?
I'm guessing it's not Raiders.
No, they're the best unit.
I'm going to say the Ulfedna.
Right. So it's not, but it should have been. I should have.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah, probably should have gone Stalkers.
So I was really torn between 3. Well, in fact, I was torn between 3, and they were the Stalkers, the Huskarls, and the Mountain Jotnar. And the reason is I completely forgot the Ulfenar actually existed in the faction.
Mountain Jotnar is pretty good now.
Well, the problem is, this is why I didn't pick the Mountain Jotnar. The problem is the Mountain Jotnar is a heavy, and it's competing with much better heavies. So that's a separate issue. I didn't want to do the same as the Abomination. But the Mountain Jotnar is fine. It's the Huskarls, I think, like we said before, they're just bad Valkyries at this point. And so there's not really any reason to take them. But they're not like, if someone played Huskarls, they're not awful. They're just, you'd have been better off playing Valkyries, probably.
Yeah.
But we'll go with the Stalkers. And it's a bit of a weird one because, well, we'll go through the stats first. So they're a light unit. They're 140 point for a minimum unit.
Yep.
They are movement 6, volley 2, clash 2, attacks 4, wounds 4, 2 resolve, 1 defense, 2 evasion.
Yeah.
And then, so they're a half-blood unit, so they fit in with the blooded. And they have barrage 4, range 16, flank, opportunist, and then a leader model. They're 40 points in additional stand. So I'm going to be really honest here, James. I know that I don't think they're good, but I can't work out why. And this is my current problem with them, because I don't know how to fix them, and I'm not sure if perhaps the problem is. I think the problem is the battlefield. Well, it's the fact that they're half bloods, because at the moment, the half bloods part of the Nord's army, I would say, is probably the weakest, but also doesn't really want stalkers. It wants the pigs, it wants the Fenrir, it wants the werewolves, and the stalkers just seem to have been left by the wayside a bit. But I cannot work out why.
I think it's just that they don't have anything extra about them, are they? Where are they? There. I know. I see. I see what you mean. I think one of the problems. So again, like these guys are almost like a Nord version of the Imperial Ranger Corps.
Yeah.
They're meant to be that quick scouting unit. Now these guys have got what I wanted to put on the Rangers, but they haven't got what the Rangers have got, which is fluid formation.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
So the opportunist is good, but you've got to spend time getting yourself into that position.
Mm-hmm.
so it's quite without that fluid formation, it's quite situational.
Yeah. They also don't have Vanguard, which
No,
you know.
still only March 6th, so they get they got the standard bearer for free, so they could be going 13.
13.
Yeah, I guess flank does make up for that, so you know that they are going to arrive when you want them to.
I mean, that's true. Like they're able. You can play more light and know they're going to be coming on turn 1. So like that's definitely something. Like flank is a great rule. The problem, I don't know. Like I'm just thinking about like other impacts for lights, and one of the things they can all do is either score, or they can kill the units that score. And at the moment, I don't think the stalkers really do either.
No.
But
I'm almost thinking about giving them deadly shot.
That could potentially help, because at that point, then at least they're able to start killing some of those tougher light units.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking of like flame berserkers and things like that. But I don't know. Yeah, I really struggle on these ones because I can't put my finger on why I think they're bad. But I definitely think they're bad.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no, I see the same problem.
Yeah, but they're not slingers. You know who better? Slingers are much better than this unit. Why are slingers better? I don't know. I mean, I do obviously like slingers are really, really good, but
well, slingers have got the extra range.
The extra range.
They've got the ability of their effective range becoming full range. They're much more. They're more reliable in the shooting. So the stalkers have only got body 2.
Yeah.
Whereas like stingers and the Imperial Rangers, I've got body 3.
Yeah.
So they're going to lose their evasion 2. Okay, so that that's okay. They're still going to lose out against probably most other reliable shooting exchanges. I would for these guys again, like thinking about what they're designed to do, how they're meant to act on the battlefield. You could almost have a rule that they like maybe can't be shot unless you're in a certain range.
That could be a cool rule. Or you know, if they're obscured, so like if they're in a forest, they can't be shot unless you're in effective range or something.
Yeah, something like
that could be a really cool rule.
They're living up to their name. They're stalking you.
Exactly.
You don't know they're there until, or they could be like, it could be something really, really kind of thematic. Like they could, if they're in if they're in a forest or like hindering or something, if they're in terrain, you can't target them until they target you.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's be wild. Right? Could you give them? What's the word I'm thinking about? They would need a separate rule. They would need irregular, and you also give them the Saturoi rule or the 60 rule where they can come on from any.
Actually, that's quite cool. And then opportunist could then actually come more into play.
I mean, this might be far too good, but that would be cool.
No, I think you're onto something there. Giving them like the Saturoi deploy anywhere on. Yeah, give them a regular.
Yeah,
they deploy on, and as soon as they deploy, they can shoot.
Yeah,
I don't think it's overpowered. It's only volley 2.
That's true. I mean, and
if you get them in a position where they are going to make use of opportunists, they give a really unique field in the army.
And that's also how I think. I think that's how they're meant to feel. I think that's how they're meant to feel. So I think that would be a really cool idea. I would give them I'd give them the Sata rule where they can come on from any board edge, not other than your opponent's deployment. And that's probably good. And of course, irregular, so they don't, they don't give you a reinforcement line.
Yeah,
but I think that could work. I think that could be really fun too. Though I am saying that, we've obviously not tested this at all, so that might be crazy
No,
good.
like generally, I think that could be a legit thing to give to suggest to Leo.
I will send him this clip.
I generally think that is a really cool thing for them.
We should say, yeah. Here we go. This is designing in progress. We'll send that to Leo. That'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
If this happens, right, and you own Stalkers, please send your donations to justroll1s@gmail.com. I've got 2 boxes in the cupboard. So, right, of course I own everything, and I get that. But, like, this is years, like, over COVID, I spent one of my Vanguard vouchers, and I got myself some Nord stuff, because I was going to play Nords. And then my main opponent, like, locally, decided he was going to do Nords.
Right.
And so I just never did them. And so I've had 2 boxes of Stalkers in my cupboard for, like, 4 years.
But they've just never been that. They've just never, even like when they first came out, they've just never been, to me, particularly threatening.
No, that's
it. I don't play against Nord that often, but I know every time I've played against them and the other person has brought Stalkers, I've always just been like, yeah, cool, okay.
Yeah, so that's it. You're not worried about it. They're just there.
No.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. We should suggest that to Leo.
I generally think you should suggest that to Leo.
I hope Leo watches this, but I will also suggest it.
Yes.
Good.
Really good idea for them.
Good. So, Woodroon.
Yes.
James. Now, I of course don't disagree with your selection. I think there's another contender that I would have picked.
There are potentially several contenders, yeah.
So we'll go through, I'll bring up your list, but my suggestion would have been the Drum Beast. And the reason is that I think that it is the worst is that you had to have bought a Drum Beast. So you have to have spent like £160 on this model, which is not very good. So you just feel sadder, right? However, your choice of
Chosen of Death.
Yeah.
Now,
is also a perfectly reasonable choice.
I agree with what you're saying about the Drum Beast. I don't want to, again, one of the things I wasn't factoring in either was like how much the thing costs. I've got a Tontor, and I have a Tontor because I enjoy, like, I love the model. And even if a Tontor was bad, I would still play it.
Of course.
Because it's just a cool model. Like the Drum Beast is a model that you buy because you want it, not because it's going to be the good thing at the moment.
To be fair, the Tontor, otherwise known as the better Drum Beast, is.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So I'll let you go over the Chosen of Death.
I mean, I thought you were going to say the Blooded. I thought you were going to maybe.
They'd be a contender. Be a contender. The reason the Blooded is so bad is that they don't do anything. Like, you are almost every single time. Well, in fact, I think that every single time you are better just taking a unit of Braves.
Yeah.
For any role that you want the Blooded to do.
And I think that's why I didn't go for Blooded, because it's not that the Blooded are bad. It's just they don't have anything extra over Braves.
Yeah, they're just
they're the same price, but you've got that little bit of that extra level of defense on the Braves. Normally outweighs that extra attack you get on the Blooded.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting maybe. I think statistically, you're maybe getting one extra hit.
Yeah,
with Blooded over Braves.
Yeah, but then if the Blooded die so quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but for me, the Chosen of Death are just not necessarily a good option.
No.
In general. These guys are tied with the Dragon Slayers for being the most expensive infantry, 220 points. They're infantry medium. They're March 6, Volley 1, Clash 3, 6 attacks, 5 wounds, Resolver 3, no defense, and evasion 2.
Yeah.
They have they've got the special rules of flawless strikes. So every natural one that they roll when they're attacking, they get smite. They have flurry, and they have loose formation as well, which is cool. They've also got like a unique one, which is cultists of death. So what that does is that for the chanting, they can only follow the cult of death, and when they chant, they get like a bonus as well. So they get all the normal chant bonus, but their kind of unique bonus is that they get +1 to their evasion, so they go up to evasion 3. Now, Chosen of Death for me have been one of the biggest changes I think the regiment has had. They were absolutely when they were like first presented, their profile was like absolutely incredible, absolutely immense. They originally had 8 attacks, so Clash 3. They had Cleave 1 and Flurry and Evasion 3 innately. Still had no defense, but they had Evasion 3. And then they got all like the chanting stuff. So they were always going to be like way overpowered. Like, yes, something had to change, but they've had such a change that really they are just not they're not good compared to the other chosen units, or at the moment chosen a conquest. But also they're just a unit that really struggles anyway. They're 220 points that in reality is either not going to is not going to live long enough to get in contact with the enemy, or sorry, or they're going to have one good punch and then possibly next turn just get decimated. That extra evade from the chanting is good, but they've got to chant first to get it. So that means that if they're fighting something, you've got to make sure they go first, and you've got to make sure that you have the chants there to do it. Chanting is kind of more tricky to do now since the changes, which is fine, but it's obviously like still a consideration. So yeah, so these guys are very expensive, probably in the sense that if you put the Chosen Death on, there's probably quite a high risk that you are just wasting 220 points because there's not the reliability there of them doing anything before they die. I've had quite a think with these guys. In what could be done. Loose formation definitely helps against shooting. One of the things that I would do is just give them their evasion 3 back. They're meant to be these ultra agile, blindfolded, like using the force. They're almost like Orc Jedi. That's how I kind of like picture them. They don't need sight. They don't need anything like that. They just feel everything going on around them, and they're super agile and everything else. So I would give them their kind of evasion 3 back. And they're in the lore, their kind of role is it's a little ironic because called the Chosen of Death, but actually their kind of role in Wildrune society almost as healers. So they're actually almost they're like really badass nurses. And to help them like stick around longer, if you gave them the evasion 3, you then free up their cultist of death special rule, and I would actually give them regen 2 or regen 3 maybe.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, so it helps them stick around more, and it also gives a shout out to the fact that they are meant to be these healers. And it means then that they are. I was thinking about maybe like taking their attacks up to 7 or 8 again, but actually I think 8 attacks is okay because they've got the flurry and the flawless strikes. But that's what I would do. I would give them the evasion 3 back, and I would give them maybe regen 2. So they can't bring back a stand from regeneration 2. So it's not like a stupidly overpowered thing for them. It just means that, if they take chip damage, they can just get rid of that
Yeah.
and ignore the chip damage.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like giving them just base evasion 3 as well. I had said to, because I spoke to Stefos about them as well, and one of my suggestions was that you give them evasion 3 back as base.
Yeah.
And their chant would be that if they're engaged in melee, then attacks from the front. If they're attacked from the front, then they count as evasion 4, which I think would be very, very good. But I think the idea for the chosen units is that they're meant to be very, very good. So I think a lot of people would pull a face at evasion 4, and I probably would too. But yeah, that was my system. But no, I like yours, evasion 3, and I like giving them kind of regen. I think is a good idea. I'd probably make it evasion 3. I think it's probably fine if they can bring back a stand because
I think evasion 3.
Sorry, regeneration 3.
Regeneration 3. Yeah. I think so. I couldn't tell if evasion 3. Again, like I think you said it before, but one of our disclaimers is that none of this is tested.
Of course.
This is purely our subjective, biased opinion about what we think would make these units good and cool. None of this had been properly tested, and I couldn't quite decide if evasion 3 and regen 3 would be too much.
Yeah.
Maybe it's okay. I think evasion 4 would maybe be a bit too much.
I think
giving evasion 3 would be fine.
Well, I think
something like regen or just to give them that homage back to the fact that they are meant to be healers.
And I think as well with evasion 3, they're only regenning a stand if they're if you've just killed one. So if their other stands are at full health, otherwise they're just going to get the 3 wounds. So I don't think it would be too bad to have a regeneration 3. I think that's a nice suggestion. I agree. It's a nice kind of lore homage back to their role. So that's I think that's a really good suggestion too. We'll see if that. Hopefully there'll be changes to these guys coming up because people love the models. And people want to play the models, and I want to see them on the table. But you're right. At the moment, you'd be better off just taking anything else.
Especially because they are that chosen unit, and at the moment they are. Okay, it may be that when Chosen of War and Famine come out, you've got a bit more choice. But at the moment, they are directly competing with Chosen of Conquest.
Yeah,
if you're going to take a Chosen unit or whatever, you're gonna which one you're going to do. And Chosen of Conquest, not only are Conquest tokens more versatile, but Chosen of Conquest just are better units.
Yeah,
regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I agree. And also mainstay for the Scion at the moment. So
and in fairness, that's not necessarily Chosen Death's fault because there is going to be a sign of death. There's going to be a sign of each cult coming out. So when the sign of death comes out, they'll probably be mainstay for that. And also, if you take a Death Warlord, they become mainstay for that Warlord.
Yeah.
But they're not as accessible as Chosen of Conquest are at the moment either, which again is why it's easier just to go Chosen of Conquest than it is it's easier to go cock than cod.
I was going to say it's the accessible cock that's the problem.
Accessible cock. Yeah. Don't go cod.
Hey, fantastic. So there's some questions I think for the death. So the next ones were Old Dominion. Now, James, who do you think are the worst unit in Old Dominion?
I'll
tell you now, you will never have seen them on the table ever.
Yeah. I'm thinking cultists.
No, not cultists, but they're the same kit. It is.
The Hashashins.
which I'm sure you just forgot about because literally no one has ever played.
I honestly had. I'm actually looking through the army list. I'm actually looking through the choices, trying to think what it was. And I saw cultists, and I actually went cultists, canophores. My mind actually did just block out Hashashin.
So I've got a nice box of cultists here to build. So cultists, I will say, are probably my choice for the most disappointing change that a unit's got, because they used to be super cool and fun and a bit different. And now, I'm not a big cultist fan, though. They're a 90-point light that brings a character on, and they kind of sit far away and throw things.
Yeah.
Assassin, 180 points for a minimum unit of move 6, volley 1, clash 2, 7 attack, 4 wounds, 3 resolve, defense 1, evasion 2, infantry. They are living infantry in Old Dominion, and they are cleave 1. They have deadly blades, they have Vanguard 4, and they have the rule Acolytes, which lets them give a single dark power token when the command stand dies.
Mm.
So, basically, these are a fairly expensive unit in a faction that wants dark power tokens, that doesn't give dark power tokens. They're also a 180-point light unit that will probably just die to things. And that's okay. Lights are meant to die. But there's no, I'm not going to blame a unit for that. Like, Vanguard 4 is nice. Move 6 is nice. But because they're not a range unit and they're not particularly well defensive and they can't score, all you're really doing by running that far forwards is, basically just putting yourself in the way of the enemy's shooting units. They've also, I hadn't even thought of this, but they don't have a standard bearer as a command stand, so they don't have they don't have reroll charges.
No.
So these units, they can also only, I believe, be taken with the Archimandrite, or maybe the Hierarchy can take them. But basically, the only ones that can take them are the casters. So the Archimandrite likes taking cultists because the Archimandrite can then sit in a unit of cultists at the back on turn 1, 90 points, done and dusted. The Hashassin are very expensive units that don't add to your dark power and die quickly. The attack 7 is nice, the cleave 1 is nice, but you know what does it better? Moroi.
Yeah.
Like, they are directly competing with Moroi, who are just objectively a better unit in almost every way. They might have less attacks, but so whereas the Assassin can come on 6 + 4 + 6, so 16 inches, the Moroi can come on. How fast are Moroi? Are Moroi speed 5 or 6, James? But the Moroi can come. Yeah, the Moroi can come on double. They can double march, and then they can translocate 8 inches forward. So they can already move further, and they can do that every single turn.
Yeah.
And I know that they only get cleave 1 when they get to their kind of. They're probably only going to have cleave 1 once they get to dark power tier 2 reliably. But you know what? You kind of want to be there anyway. Like, that's what your army wants to be doing. So this is a unit that doesn't that doesn't kind of interact with the main army rule and isn't good.
No.
So how would we make Hashassin good? And it's very difficult because...
Keep talking. I'm just going to grab some water very quickly.
Yeah, no worries. So how are we going to make Hashassin good? Well, it's really difficult because, they are competing with Moroi, who are a really, really good option. I think probably up there for one of the best lights in the game, other than maybe Raiders. So I think really their role needs to change. If they're going to stay in the same warband and things like that, then I don't know. I mean, firstly, I really struggle with these guys because you want them to be adding to the dark power pool properly. And I know lore-wise they're not dead and there's maybe some lore issues there. But, without that, you're just essentially... You're locking yourself out of, advancing to that higher tier of power quickly, which is what you want to do. the other option being cultists, they kind of get a bit of a pass because they have a role. Their role is that the Archimandrite sits in that unit and comes on as a light and sits far away, and it's cheap. So you're not having to pay for legionaries and you're coming on a turn sooner. But with these guys, I don't really know what the solution would be. What do you want them to do? They probably need to be a bit cheaper in terms of the army. But also, my thought was, these are meant to be assassins. And so what you could potentially do, and I don't know if this would be enough to kind of make them playable, but I would give them a free. I would let the command stand have a free duel option. So you can charge, and that way you can, duel your opponent's character. Now, I was toying around with the idea that because they're assassins, the opponent's character wouldn't be able to turn it down, which I think would also be fun. But even so, you get a free duel action, so they can decline it, and then you can clash into them. So I think that would make them, at least give them a separate role, kind of as like character hunters. You could even give them the rule from the Rakshasa, so that they get a longer charge when they get a longer charge when there's a character in the unit.
Yeah.
That was my thought. Do you have any thoughts on this unit that everyone's forgotten about?
I agree with. Yeah, I think giving them a potential free duel is a good one. You could also maybe give them Quicksilver Strike as well.
Oh, that's a good idea.
They are like the assassins, so they're like hopefully striking before the character even knows about it.
Yeah, you're like really making these guys character hunters.
Yeah, again, this might be too good, but you could also do something like in a clash action, the character stand could actually make their attacks against the character.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Not in a duel, in a normal clash.
Yeah.
Normal clash. The command stand can either direct their attacks against the regiment, or they can direct their attacks against the against the character.
That's a really fun idea, actually. I like that. That sounds really fun. And I just think that then gives them a bit more of a role within the army. It gives them something to do.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, because at the moment, totally with you. You forget they exist because
exactly.
Because Moroi do it so much better, like you said. And they're just not. Yeah, there's just nothing special about them.
No, exactly, and they're in fact anti-special because they're alive units in the dead army. So that's it. Yeah.
So they're terrifying. Yeah, animate. So I'm looking at Moroi. So they don't. Because do the cultists contribute to the?
No, they don't. They have the same rules. So if the command stand dies, they do, but otherwise, no, they don't. So the cultists get by because they're very cheap. That's it, really.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah. No, I agree with you. Make it so that they got something that lives up to their name.
Yeah.
And they could be a bit. They could be a bit more of a consideration. I'm not sure I'd say contender, but I think we would know. I think we would acknowledge their existence.
You maybe see them, and people might play them in like a fun list or something. Like, there are ways I think that you could do that. I think there are ways that it could work. The extra movement on the charge, if they were to charge a character unit, that itself would be really great. Because what the Old Dominion don't really have is like a really fast kind of unit to get in hammer, especially the Archimandrite warband. And this would kind of give them that, but in very specific circumstances.
Yeah, I was surprised when you said it was just the Archimandrite or the Hierodeacon. I thought the Strategos had them for some reason.
Oh, I mean, I could be wrong. I could.
No, you are right. The Strategos. They're not in the Strategos's warband or anything. So yeah, it just seems a really kind of odd
Yeah, they don't really do anything. Yeah, this is their problem. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
So, in that case, the next one was your choice of city-states.
City-states, yeah. What did I choose for city-states again? Bear with.
Well, I think you made the right choice. I agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was it. Yeah. Yeah. Companion cavalry.
Doo-doo.
Yeah. I still argue these are some of the nicest models in the game.
I agree. Yeah.
They are absolutely stunning. They look exactly like how companion cavalry should. But there's still something off with them in their rules.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
so they're 140 points. They're a medium cavalry. They're March 8, volley 1, clash of 3, 6 attacks, 4 wounds, resolve 3, defense 2, and evasion 1. And they have the dread special rule, which is if they're in the enemy that they're in contact with can't inspire, and they have impact 3 as well.
Mhm.
They have a leader, but they don't have any standard bearers, so there's no unstoppable. There's no +1 to second march or anything. You know, they're already pretty quick.
Yeah.
Now, for me, there's something that's in combat. They're good. I think there's 6 attacks. They're some of the most in terms of cavalry. There's some of the most melee focused, like brawling cavalry around. They got clash of 3. They're 6 attacks. They're giving out a lot of hits. They don't have cleave 1. But normally, if you're running them, you're going to be running the Apakos, and he has cleave 1, and he's also 6 attacks. But there's something that's missing from them, and I think it comes from their charge. So the companion cavalry were considered almost be like some of the. This isn't the law of James or anything, but like the companion cavalry were almost considered like some of the first shock cavalry.
Yeah.
Like they would be used to get around the flanks and everything, but also they would be used for full-on frontal assaults as well. They're some of the best armored. They were normally some of the best trained fighters. And there's a reason that they've got those kind of long spears, those kind of like versions of a sarissa, is because they would just kind of go full frontal into the enemy, and often that's how Alexander the Great actually used them. That he was famous for making the companion cavalry such a trademark of like Macedonian the Macedonian military. And I think that kind of needs to be represented a bit more than just Impact 3. I think they could probably have Brutal Impact 1.
Yeah,
Or I was thinking of maybe giving them almost a similar thing to the devastating charge that the Crimson Tower have. So the Crimson Tower have devastating charge. So it's if they perform a march followed by charge, then they gain impact +1 and 9 breaker.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and I think that might be what could be given to them. I think. So you either got a choice. You can run them up, get them into combat with minimum impacts, but try and get that clash at the risk of failing your charge because they haven't got unstoppable. Or if you just want to get them in combat. So let's say that the enemy regiment is already engaged with another one of yours. You want to get them in combat because as soon as they're in combat, that enemy regiment can't inspire because of dread. So it may not be a case of you. It may be that the priority isn't necessarily get them in combat so that they can clash. You just want to get them in combat. But if you give them something like devastating charge, which focuses on that kind of move and charge, they're then still living up to like that shock cavalry. They're not. They weren't. Again, like historically, like companion cavalry weren't going to be the same level of devastating that medieval knights were or anything. So I'm not saying like put them on the same par as Crimson Tower or anything like that, but just give them a bit more for that, to give a homage for that that shock cavalry aspect of them. So I think I was thinking maybe something like shock if they get the charge, but then I had another rethink and I thought no, devastating charge I think works for them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
No, I like that. That's really good. Because like you say, it kind of fits in with their lore and their kind of role as well. And it's something that the city-states don't really have.
No,
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Great idea.
So they're pretty. I mean, to me, it's pretty simple. That don't need to spend too long on these guys. They are good. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying these guys are a bad unit or anything. Just for me, there's so much flavor in the city states at the moment that these guys are missing out from some of that.
Yeah. No, of course.
And there's such a big homage to like the historicity with the city states that I think these guys they've been left behind a little bit, or they've been a little bit forgotten, which is sad. So yeah, I would give them devastating charge.
No, that's a really good idea. Really good idea.
Cool.
And so the next one was my choice. Right. What do you think is the worst unit in Sorcerer Kings?
I think you've gone for the goals.
Oh, the goals are for my least favourite unit. But no.
Can I then change it to Windborn Djinn?
Yes, they are. I think the worst unit in. So Windborn Djinn are just not very good. They are, they're all right. They're 190 points for 3 brute stands. They're move 7. They're volley 2. They're clash 2. Attacks 4. Wounds 5. Resolve 3. Defense 3. Evasion 1. So they're elemental. They've got Ball of Air. They've got Impact 3. Should hopefully never come up. They've got Etheric Marker, which allows your wind casters to get more hits of spells if they've already been shot. They are Barrage 4, Range 20, and they are Armor Piercing 1. So the problem is twofold. One, air is just not very good at the moment. And that's probably the big issue with them. Now, they have had a change since they first came out. They used to only be Barrage 3. And that was miserable. But that was just actually dreadful. I remember playing them against James in a test match. And I think I had 2 units shooting into some Braves for like 5 or 4 rounds, and like nothing died. Like just nothing happened.
Yeah.
I think really the change. I think reasonably this unit could be volley 3, sorry, and it would still be perfectly balanced. I would pay 190 points if they were volley 3. That would be my change. There also, I think, needs to be other changes. Now, I think if you look at the wind kind of spell set, they could get a favourable winds, which lets them re-roll hits and everything. Like, there is some support there, but nobody's playing wind at the moment because it's the weakest of the two. It's weaker than fire. Now, will that change in the future? I hope so. I hope there are some changes. What I'd really love to see is like to move away from the mono element built in Sorcerer King, so you're not so Jadu reliant. But I honestly think a really easy change here would be to change them to volley 3, and I don't know, give them fluid formation. Did they used to have fluid formation? I'm sure they did. I would give them back fluid formation and make them volley 3.
They may have done.
That would be my choice. And if they don't, they should have fluid formation. They're literally made of wind.
Yeah.
So that would be that may be my changes. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they should be volley 3. Mm-hmm. Like, we talk about the elementals being these marshaled experts at their own style that can be drawn upon. And you're drawing and you're summoning from the planes this archer that is not any more skilled than a crossbowman. Or anything. It doesn't quite. I think volley 3 definitely makes sense for them. And if that's too much, then I think actually you could take them down to 4 wounds. And
Yeah,
that's still perfectly fine because I know they're made of air and stuff, but they're not, they don't look particularly tanky.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be fine too.
Particularly
Yeah,
because they got the same wounds as the Flamecast, the sword dancers, which look
yeah,
much more like beefy. So I think you could take them down to 4 wounds and
yeah.
make them body 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think then there's a wider conversation about air in general. But no, I think that would be a good solution. So they're going to 4 wounds, body 3.
And at the moment, like, because I know rituals are in a weird place. They are tied to, they are quite strongly linked to the ritual mechanic.
Yeah.
Which, if that isn't working for you, then that only
Exactly.
creates a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that's it. And I think that Swords for Kings is a larger discussion, I think, to have on them in general. But especially Wind. But the final one, James Uvoni.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the worst Uvoni unit? This is with no data.
Yeah, this is because of considering they haven't even come out yet. My one, I was thinking, were, in terms of just bad, were the Domashi.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I generally agree that they.
Yeah, love the models. I just don't think they're gonna see much playtime.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard to find a place to put them. I think is a way to fair to say it. Yeah, that I think is a bit of an issue. But what I would say, I didn't go for them, and it was because I wasn't sure how to fix them. And I wanted to talk about my idea to fix the Dai Yokai. So
I would not have thought that.
No, so the Dai Yokai is okay. It's not a dreadful. I actually don't know any dreadful models in Uvoni at the moment. But I guess I picked this one because I don't see myself taking this one over the other monster. Because the other one, the no yokai, much better. Like, it's the yokai that's making it bad, obviously. So if we look here, it's move 7, which is great. Volley 1, clash 4, fantastic. 12 attacks, 18 wounds, 4 resolve, 3 defense, 2 evasion. Obviously, God, stop giving monsters evasion too.
Sad Dragon Slayer sounds.
Yeah, it's just dreadful. But this guy has all 5 battlefield rolls, so it can benefit from all of the different cards, which is great. It's got Cleave 1, it's got Fearless, it's got Impact 5, Terrifying 1, Vanguard 3, and Unstoppable. It's really, really cool. And it can perform a free duel during its activation. Like, that's a nice rule to have. Right? So it's not a bad monster. I just think the other monster is better. He does have this awesome rule called Aijitsu. Now, Aijitsu can only be performed out of combat and only be performed as its first. So the Dai Yokai immediately performs a 12-inch march directly forward, ignoring all intervening regiments and characters. And then he must be placed in a legal position at the end of the move. So that's at least 1 inch away from an enemy unit. Select one enemy unit that he marched through and perform a free out-of-sequence clash action against it. And these hits are inflicted at the front of the regiment. So I think that this rule is really, really hard to use because you can't be engaged and you can't end within an inch of an enemy model or an enemy unit. So the actual kind of space you have is very limited. I know I worked it out at some point, but there's probably about a 3-inch space you can actually be in because you need to be obviously within 12. Well, in fact, I could probably have worked it out. So it's about 2 inches of the base. Your monster base is about 2 inches. So you need to be an inch away. So you probably need to be within 6 to 7 inches to do it. So it's not a huge distance that you're able to get through. I should have worked the maths out before this. We talked about it.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, but at that point, if you've got to be 6 or 7 inches away for this to realistically work,
Yeah,
you might as well charge.
exactly. You might as well charge. I would change the rule to be, because it takes up your whole action, right? There's no like funny stuff happening here. I would change it so that the hits are inflicted in the rear of the unit because you are literally running through them. And I would also change it so you can do it whilst you're engaged. So you could charge a unit, and then, if you're, and this happens sometimes in games, you engage with the unit, you want to do a clash, you want to kill the final unit, and then you're going to do a march onto an objective. You don't for whatever reason here, because you fail to kill the unit. You roll badly, and then you're stuck not on the objective.
Yeah.
Or you want to get into your opponent's backfield. It's a big, heavy monster. Fine. But I think one thing to remember as well is you've only got a small elite army. So this guy could charge in, he could clash. Then the next round, he could then do this Aijitsu and move through the unit kind of into the back. Then you've got your whole action, your whole turn to kind of deal with that, because he can't then activate again. So it's not like he's going to be able to go on to do loads of damage to the units behind you. It's literally you're in combat, you charge through them, that's your clash, and you get to move as if they weren't there. I think that would be great and super cool. So there would be my changes to the Daiyukai.
I think it's just a really situational rule as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about this one when I did that game proxy with the Uroni, and I used the Genya no Yokai.
Yeah,
instead.
The great one.
Which is absolutely great. Mostly because of this rule. When I first read it, I thought that sounds awesome, and then I actually thought about it, and I thought, well, you could do a counter quite easily by this. You have just a really cheap buffer unit, and you put your main hitter guys just behind that buffer unit, so he can't do that. He can't do that ability because he can't then end in a legal formation behind them. And he's got to be so close that you might as well just charge anyway. And okay, once he's done that, a part of me thought, well, okay, I can charge through, like activate him at the end. He charges through this regiment. Like next turn, I can turn and engage them. But actually, one action has got to be the reform, and then the second action has got to be the charge. So you're only getting 5 impacts. At which point they can then probably just clash with you and do some damage to you.
Yeah.
If you link it with the Bakasaurus supremacy that you can change Fu into fluid formation, it kind of works better. But you're investing a lot of points and energy into this ability, which may or may not work anyway.
And I'm trying to think. So, because as the rules at the moment, the action immediately ends, so you wouldn't be able to do this and then fluid formation. You'd have to fluid formation on your next action.
Sorry, that meant like next round.
The next round,
you like kind of potentially activate him first.
Yes, because I'd potentially
with like the Sui card or something with the Fu card, fluid with the Bakasura supremacy thing.
Because I'd potentially change it
and charge a clash. Yeah.
I'd probably change it so at the end you can face in any direction as well. So it's like the cool, like, Monster Hunter longsword samurai thing.
Actually, I've got because fluid formation is at the end of the activation anyway, isn't it?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm not sure if it would trigger or not. I'd have to check. I'd have to check.
I think it's intended or it's designed that fluid formation wouldn't work.
Okay.
No, but because fluid formation
is fine.
Is either before or after the activation.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, that would be my change. I would make it so that the Aijitsu rules you could be used in combat and also attack the rear of the unit. That's what I would do.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that one as well. Yeah, I think at the moment it just loses out to the Genya no Yokai.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's what I think the issue with it is.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of our main segment.
Yes.
Oh, with no technical difficulties that anyone saw. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's great. I really enjoyed that. I thought there were some really good suggestions, and we've come out with some really good ideas there, I think.
I think so. I think there's some genuine suggestions there that we should pass on to Leo.
I think so too.
That's it. Not patting ourselves on the back or anything. I think that
no, we should. We're really good.
We have fixed Conquest.
We have. Make those changes, and all of those units will be playable. I don't know whether they'll be too good, but they would be better.
No, awesome.
Please just make the abomination medium.
Yeah.
If you do, look, I'll even stick. Oh God, I'll even stick the foot back onto my broken abomination that I dropped on the floor.
Until we do, I'm going to wear a MAGA hat. Make abominations great again.
Great again. That is who we should, well. That will not go on our jersey, but we could. There are no political slogans, James. No abominations. We're not directorate here. So we should. No, I do say this again. We do need, James, at least for me and you, to sort out getting cool Just Roll Ones jerseys for events. That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
and then guests could also get one when we have a guest again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we'll look at. Yeah, I mean, now that we've got some more. Now we've got some more like army release, or like now that more of the factions are getting their reworks, maybe we can get Leo back on again.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be a great idea as well. We'll ask him. And I keep meaning to reach out. Actually, but I want to ask Stavros if he'd like to come on for a lore episode.
Yes, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Really fun.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So, thank you if you've made it this far. I hope you've enjoyed mine and James's wonderful ramblings on the worst units in Conquest, the objective worst units in Conquest.
Yeah.
If you have enjoyed it, please subscribe and like the video. I've been told it helps. And leave a comment down below if you disagree with us on any of those. You feel free to call me an idiot. Not James. You can call me an idiot. Well, you can also call James an idiot. I think apparently that's fine too. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
James, do we have an email address they could email into?
We do. Yeah. So if you have any if you have any questions or comments or anything, feel free to email us at feel free to email us at jroconquest@gmail.com.
Fantastic. And if I remember, I'll put that in the show notes too. Send us a listener question. We've still not had one. Someone please send a listener question.
Or even stick it on the UK Discord or wherever.
Yeah, just somewhere. Just ask us a question. If you've got any episode ideas you'd like to hear, that'd be really great. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening. James, do you have any thoughts before we finish?
No, I think we've done a pretty good job with that. So yeah, if people have managed to reach the end, thank you very much. And yeah, always great chatting with you as always, mate.
Yeah, you too. And we'll have to do it again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Enjoy your move.
I'll try.
In this episode, by the way, I've built a whole unit of Moroi. Just had a great time. All my Moroi. Yeah, I've had a great time. My Moroi are built. I've been brilliant. Very productive.
I should stop doing that. Do some hobby during the podcast as well.
Exactly. If we could get like 2 cameras each, we could get another camera with what we're hobbying on. We're going to do. Oh,
that'd be quite cool. Yeah.
Brilliant. Cool. Well, if you would like that, listeners, please make sure to use our affiliate code with Whaling Games.
Yeah.
Not with Whaling. No, sorry, with our web store, and we could buy more cameras. Brilliant.
Cool.
So, do you want to take us out, James?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We still got how many? This is what we've been doing this for like 2 years now.
Yeah, 25 episodes, and we still don't know how to finish one.
We still don't know how to finish it. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone, and as always, if in doubt, just roll ones.
Rolling dice on the battlefield, armies clash, no time to yield. Knights and monsters, banners fly, we march to war, do or die. Hold the line, don't break the ranks. In this fight, there's no room for thanks. Conquest calls, the game begins. Only one side ever wins. Just roll ones, we're living on. iron will. Heroes rise and heroes fall. We answer Conquest's mighty call. Each move counts, each step we take. Fortune's won, no mistakes we make. Axes swing, arrows fly. The last argument is do or die. On this field we make our stand. Conquer kingdoms, take the land. Just roll once, we're living on the edge. In the heat of battle, standing on the ledge. Just roll once, it's fate or it's skill. We don't lose, we fight with iron will. No retreat, no surrender. We're in this till the end. Rolling dice for glory, where fate and skill blend. Just roll once, let's take the throne. Our destiny unknown.